Rupesh, how do you see the role BMS changed in the last few years in case of buildings?
We started our career as MEP consultant since 95-96. We did a couple of buildings in BKC. Like one example I can give, ILFS. There we did a management system, building management system. It is for the controls and monitoring for the common utilities. And then ways progress, it was there till the developers, till SDFC was the funding of the project.
Correct.
So their team was operating. Till then it was fine. Once it is handed over to society, I don't think BMS system is working today.
Okay.
I doubt, because I have not been there since last 10 years, more than 10 years, but I doubt. So see, being an BMS, we are doing since now more than 2 decades or 2.5 decades now. Actually, BMS, good concept. If you see, if you want to utilize the benefit of BMS, you can definitely. So there are a lot of advantages in terms of you can monitoring, you can control, and that ultimately you saves a lot of electricity also. When we did some few case studies, not in India, but when we did some case studies in Dubai and Singapore, apparently developers or the operators feel that there is an energy saving even up to even 7-8% of the total consumption. So it is up to us or the operators or the end users how you take it. It gives lot of advantages to the building in terms of sustainability, growth. You can say operations are ease. These are the major advantages.
So maintenance of these systems is a big challenge in properties. So we realized that how can we simplify the systems? BMS appears if you'll see the IO summary, if you'll see the single line drawings, it appears very complex and very fuzzy. So we were always of the opinion as consultants that how can we simplify and make it more impactful for all our clients. And the changes which have happened is it has now become more open protocols. Earlier it was all closed protocols. There were proprietary protocols. So more and more openness to integrate with other systems, to share its APIs with other apps. So all that has become possible. One is that area. Second area is very important. There is a layer of artificial intelligence which is getting built into the BMS system. So it is, I would say that BMS is no longer the right terminology for smart buildings. I would say artificial intelligence driven management systems for buildings should be the right terminology. So we've recently completed an iconic project in Thane for Hirandanis, which is a first of its kind, and it gives me a layer of information pegged to what we have programmed it. So we also come from a green building consulting background. So we generally program the building as far as the EPI, the energy performance index is concerned, the water consumption is concerned. And then we measure the performance via the programming done. And then we get deviation. So for example, if Hilton was done today, I would say that I could calculate the per room average consumption on a daily basis on an occupied room basis. So if that data could be plugged into the engineering system, it would directly save money to the overall revenue of the project. And this actually will give the payback to the system, because many of the clients ask, what is the payback? You don't have any definite answers because the percentage saving is very fuzzy. You cannot prove it. So right now there is a full templatization done where every bit of it can be understood and paid back. So this is one more major change which has seen over.
I would like to know that what BMS vendors do more to ensure we get the value. I'm talking from an hospitality people. That most of the hospitality, if you go, whenever I go to a hotel facility head or I go to a MEP head of that hotel, I ask him that whatever MEP, BMS and MEP design consultants and everybody has asked you to do, has it delivered to you? And 90% time they say yeah, but again it is fuzzy. Okay,
so there are many things on paper but not executed. IoT, the things are now available on phones, internet, Wi-Fi.
Correct.
What they can do, they can integrate all this data in the BMS system and give a representation which can be understood by a layman.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the BMS is operated by a security guard. Few times back only Rupesh ji was saying this. So let us go to them.
Yeah.
That okay, if security guard understand in a light manner or glowing or blinking things, then let us give him in that way.
Okay. So Rupesh, do you see a stride happen forward, or do you think there's a lot of work to be done?
It is definitely going much stages ahead than the last 2 decades, 1.5 decades or 1 decade. But I personally feel there is still a lot of scope of improvisation. So there are two major two points which I would highlight. The expertise available. See, now suppose I am the system integrator, say Honeywell for example. At my level it is very good. When you come one stage down to the end users or to the operation team, this expertise need to be still go to the people, and we need to you can say educate the people. Then only this fraternity need to be expanded in big way. Because at a certain level it is very good, but then once you once the building is operated and then it is go to the society or to the developer, then the problem starts basically, because then many people don't know how to operate the system. And that expertise is not that. The kind of projects are coming up and amount of people should be required to operate this, it is not available today. So the expertise we need to create, and the awareness.
So,
Basically the education, you can say the education.
Exactly.
That is important.
So do you see products which are being used now in BMS can be localized for our needs?
The industry is moving more and more towards indigenization, and many of the components now can be supplied in India only. Take the case of good VFDs or AHUs. So now they are big brands from Europe have come down to India, and they have started manufacturing here and exporting abroad. So because of the PLI incentives at several stages, I give you the example of solar panels. Come out from the industry, come to the other parallel renewables industry. Solar panels were only China had grabbed the world market. So during COVID, we faced huge supply disruptions, and then finally a call was taken. Now our own company, Tata Power, they are putting up a 5 gigawatt plant to manufacture solar panels. Reliance is planning. We are doing their plant, in fact, in Jamnagar now. So if you'll see that more and more effort is being taken, so many of the components now can get made in India only, and the day is not far where everything and anything will be available in the industry, and it might be exported from this market only. So as we can see, Mr. Tim Cook was here, Apple phones will get manufactured here. So this is the industry trend which is actually catching up. So India will become a parallel manufacturing base to China. That is what the world also desires.
There I see the problem is they have their own system. It's very good, fantastic, but their own independent system. Now there has to be cross communication. If the system talks to each other, the water system can talk to the independent BMS, then it will bring the value. Even the employer who want to implement that system would be happy to do that. Now there is a simple case that the hospitality industry like this, if they can put that, okay, we have this system in place and those customers would use the less water, we will give them some brownie points or something. Okay, those customers who leave the places clean, they get some brownie points. So if they're using the water, we are going to become the water scarce country.
In India, the BMS market earlier was OEM driven completely, and at that point of time I used to always say that OEM are only product supplier. They do not understand what is application, and therefore a system integrator or a startup vendor, he really looks at what is my pain, my customer's pain is, can I address that pain? And what you rightly said about meter, I'm telling you that there are, when I first started doing to the developers, they used to say in Bangalore that 90% of the places they don't have municipal corporation water that is given by tankers, and they want to know how much each flat owner has spent. Okay, and therefore we tried to do it. We used MICEbz, all those technologies, but we didn't get a customer the value, because he said, as a BMS ELV consultant, what kind of skill gaps you see in the industry, and is there any way we from an INBAC and all those kind of things can help to bridge that gap?
Industry will require a lot of education, lot of you can say skilled laborers need to become, and we should get probably this all big giants again need to come together, including what even Ash is saying, the new startups probably need to join hand together. Then like this kind of platforms, or even there are many platforms, we need to come up and then showcase this kind of problems in the industry.
So I would like to just take off from there. Today we just read in the newspapers that Google and Apple were fighting for skilled talent for artificial intelligence engineers, and they were offered crores of salaries. Fight kar rahe the. So bring it back to our industry, the BMS industry, there is a huge skill gap, and the demand and the potential is not being realized by young engineers. That if they train themselves, they can be of great value to the entire sector, not only this sector. There is industry 4.0 happening, there is hospitality, healthcare, there is boom in logistics and warehouse space. So we require a lot of skilled engineers to understand these concepts. Now, at my level, I'm sure you also will be facing, at the design level itself, there are a lot of shortages. We don't find people to design the systems. We have to be dependent on vendors.
I agree, rather I strongly agree with one valid point said by Rakesh, that vendors are not transferring the technology. Nowadays, the digital twins is a very key word. Asset management through digital twins. How it will happen? There has to be signals. There has to be the management system, building or digital management system. And simple thing is, if this room is already done with the whatever BMS is there, and if I want to take a simple digital signal from an analog switch, the technology is not transferred. Now I cannot believe that there is a plug which cannot talk to my system, because simple Alexa plugs are there which can talk to Alexa devices. So might be the first world countries those who are not transferring the technology, and because of which we are facing a lot of problem in the cost parameters. Second, the point Sadanand mentioned about the skill labors. Of course, first world countries will pull all the talent because of their money power. The labors or the skill labors will be the perennial issue. So whatever skill labor, what we try to implement is, most of the consultants also, whatever available, nurture them. I strongly believe that the youth of our country has tremendous potential. वो वहाँ जाके झंडे गाड़ी रहे. So we can make them here also. And whatever we have, let's nurture them. See, this business doesn't need IITians or IIMs. Okay, this is a very simplistic business. Those who have basic common sense and the knowledge of operating a software and Excel sheets, presentations, they can do it very well. And from a tier 4 grade college student also can do this, because that's how our educational system. So that's how we can solve the skill level problems as well.
Yeah. The second most important point on the skill gap is, which I personally feel, is on training side, because people come in, they get trained in all the design aspects, and then they move to greener pastures, which are, of course, they get more money, they get more better life. That's what they say. I personally feel that's their own choice, but we need to continuously build this pipeline to make sure we get newer people in, guidance.
Various platforms through various industries, various projects are happening. In fact, if you talk about like carbon neutrality, maybe net zero in terms of water and electricity, there are a number of projects that already exist and delivered. And very honestly, even we are working on a couple of projects. Those are large campuses, and we are trying to bring it down to working on all the aspects. Majorly, we are working on net zero in terms of water and even the electricity as well.
We certified a building recently for Unilever in Bangalore, which is near net zero. So we fought with the certifying authorities that if it is not net zero, because the restrictions from the government side do not allow it to be net zero. So what is the way out? So we had several rounds of discussions with the leadership team at the certifying authorities, and we came up with a solution that, because the building has taken up the journey to go to near net zero, just because last 10% of its energy couldn't be fixed with renewables because of the government restrictions. So suppose it is consuming 1 lakh units per annum, and 90,000 units are either generated on-site or it is coming from off-site renewable energy. So last 10,000 units cannot be made up because of the government restrictions. So the authorities agreed that because of this case discussion, we are now starting to implement a segment of near net zero buildings to encourage the journey towards net zero. So this is the way forward. As Rupesh sir said, more and more buildings will have to take this journey, because the government wants that everybody should commit to a target, especially the corporates. So we work with big corporates who have these targets set. So we create their strategies, how to go about it. Especially in the C&I segment, I would say commercial and industrial, it is more possible. Residential segment, who's a major consumer, it may not be possible because of the space not being available. So these are some of the industry trends.
Correct.
net zero, zero liquid discharge, ZLD. All this can be achieved through BMS at a large. And see, there is always limitation for the government sector or government officers to impose something because they have to look at a large
Picture,
people or
large picture.
But the product manufacturers, BMS product manufacturers, they should make it simplified. As earlier Rakesh said that okay, this IO summary is very troublesome. So we can have a tick boxes who can okay what is required and what is implemented. That would surely lead us. May not be we achieve the zero liquid discharge or carbon neutrality, but we have to start walking towards. Now it is we are talking, but implementation should also start immediately.
Not from the other side. And the total point contributed by BMS was that point only 95 out of 700. Okay, but now it's not the case with net zero. What you said, because everywhere you need to monitor, look at what has happened and what's going to be the result, and it is entirely driven by results as we move on.
Even one point I had now, a lot of authorities, if you see, particularly in BMC, like CFO or even the hydraulic department in corporation, they are also now talking about smart things.
Whenever I go to hotels, I go to the big convention centers, they say that we are not deriving the value. And the major challenge they saw is in implementation. And it's a big subject.
Said earlier also, the checklist has to be there from the developer or the one who's going to construct that hotel or hospitality project. So if checklist is ready, then they have to select the appropriate product, because we all know that every product has their USPs. They are strong in something and weak in something. So if it is hospitality, they need to select a product rather than being biased. I want 3 quotations. I want generic specifications. Okay, so you can have a rate contract. If we talk about international clients like Hilton and all, they have their specification list which is international. But now there are more and more JVs are there with the hotel like JW Marriott or ICC Marriott, different JVs, and JV try to dictate most of the time because he's putting the money or land or something. So first is checklist ready. Second is the system integrator or the product which has that particular USP has to be there from the day one, and he should be awarded without having any second thought. He should be awarded with the commissioning guarantee and the AMC for at least 10-15 years.
There are parallels to be seen in other industries and then learn from there and bring it here. So ऐसे नहीं है कि BMS is very complex. We made it very complex. You know, if we look at industrial applications, everything is working in automation in day in and day out. So smart manufacturing, if you see the utilities in the industries, they are working in automation very well. The machines are working. They have a PLC based system. So break it into micro and then look at the macro picture right at the end. So this would be one simplification strategy.
Very good.
So what Amit says and Rakesh said after that, what I would suggest, third party integration till is fine. Matlab, what you said, you done the process, you select the vendor, you select the integrator, you select the product. Till then everything is even today we are doing it. It's happening at Bhatia. I feel there has to be third party integration, which is number one. Number two, I feel third party commissioning, which is very largely get utilized or get used in many countries, which we are lacking in our country. If that's happened, I think it will give you more further weightage to the system, because then it will be kind of a full system before handed over to the operational team, which I think we are lacking and we should implement on that.
Exactly. Finally, ensure the integration of the third party, because BMS is nothing but actually monitoring and controlling all the systems in the building. And as Rakesh rightly said, that if it can be done in industrial, why it can't be done in BMS? I think the most important point in this is, at the end of the day, all of us must accept India is only cooling market. India is not a heating market. Therefore, if you go abroad, which is basically you see, because I saw that stark difference, is heating becomes a very important part. And therefore, the energy conservation as well as the energy saving which they get is much higher. And therefore, the criticality of the instrumentation which is being used is being monitored by the facility guys on a daily basis to ensure that the system is running. think that day will not be far off, I must tell you. Because you look at the energy bill, what it was for any hotel company 10 years ago and now, huge. And therefore, even if you get 6, 7, 8% saving, which is your energy bill is normally 60 to 61% of the hotel. And that's what I'm saying. So if we can achieve that, I think that will be a great value we all of us will bring to them. And on this note, I would like to thank MICE. I would like to thank all of you on the behalf of the panel. And first of all, I must say thank you very much to Rupesh, Rakesh and Amit for coming in here as a very engaging session. And you can take it back that we are moving forward. We will ultimately reach the destination.